Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate with your watch page muted, simply click on the link in the info box below this video to join the debate live. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. First and foremost, please do not swear. If you do swear, you will be swiftly removed. The only second rule is if you are removed, please do not try to return to the Hangout using sock accounts. Again, you will be removed again. So you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. With that, I'm going to transition across to my photographs so I can share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and I would encourage anybody who is currently in the live stream to do the same. Feel free to share both the join link in the info box below this video and the watch link on the watch button. So once again, if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Once again, I've just finished sharing the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and if you are in the live feed, I would encourage you to also do the same. Please share the show on all the various social media platforms that you have on your disposal. Obviously, we will be joined shortly by somebody, our first debater, who would be entirely unopposed in their views were they to join now. I'm going to say a few shout-outs. So there are a few people who have joined us in the live chat, so I'm going to say hello to them now. Hello to Fanny Lancer, good to see you. The Rig, good to see you also. Brandon Cook, thanks for being here. Curved Water, good to see you. Probably our most regular participant, I think, so far. Poor swearing people costume. just posted a link. As we've got nobody in the show, I will let you have that link. So I've showed that to the... No idea what it is, but I've showed it for you anyway. So there we go. I'll do a couple more links for anybody who has joined the show now. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the main show. And if you would like to join the debate live, there is a link in the info box below this video. With your watch page muted, simply click on that link to join the debate live. There are only a couple of rules. Number 1, please do not swear. Number 2, please do not rejoin the show if you have been ejected. You will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. With that, I'll transition across to my photographs. I may not pop up again between now and when we get somebody in, but if I do, it'll just be to plug exactly the same thing. So hopefully we will be joined by a guest shortly. Click on the link in the info box below this video if you'd like to do exactly that. Good to have you here, Dave Freeman, who says, Scotland! Indeed. We are joined by Haunted House, who had me on his show the other day. Thank you very much for being here, Haunted House. Very pleased to have you. Physics Warrior, good to have you here. Pleased to see you. Been joined by Curved Water. Good to have you here, Curved. I'll no doubt have to turn your volume up, so I'll do that straight away.
Morning.
Yeah, I'll do.
Sound. I came in because I thought you were saying that haunted house and warrior joined. So there's nobody here. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought of one thing I can say. I went back and listened to a little bit of yesterday's hangout and something with Riley. Even though my microphone seemed to be, or my levels seemed to be lower than the other people in the hangout, I still could hear myself trying to make the point in vain. See, when that whole thing, I don't really care about Riley's escapade or any of the controversy with it. My issue is very different. And it's when PMARS basically confronted him with it. Riley's tactic was to go and say, and I'm going to try to quote this. I listened to it a few times, but it's early and I may not get this word for word. But Riley's first go-to was, yeah, well, Antonio accuses everybody of everything. So what difference does it make? And anybody can listen to that in the hangout. They can hear it. And anybody can listen to that. And I'm getting a lot of echo.
Yeah, we've had three new joiners, so I'll just say hello to them. We've got Mr. Grim V, pleased to have you here. Physics Warrior, also pleased to have you here. And the last joiner who's just muted, I think is Sleeping Warrior, I think. So we may have a continuation of yesterday. We shall see.
Good morning, Nathan.
Morning.
I've only come on to respond to the comment that Curve just made. Depending on how much you know or don't know about the Nathan Karen thing, I'm referring to the general saga that's being created. If you're referring to a specific thing, I was referring to the general thing. And I maintain my position, both specifically and generally. So if you're not happy with the general application of what I said, I'll deal with it specifically. I'm not dealing with any element of this scandal, gossip, drama at all. So if you're not happy with that, I'm dealing with it generally speaking, over the whole drama thing collectively as a blanket. So
it's not about whether somebody's happy or not. It's about your dishonesty. It's about your tactics.
Do you understand what dishonesty is?
Anthony, the best way.
Josh, wait. Let me deal with Curved, and then I'll come to you. Do you understand what dishonesty means, Curved?
Yes, you exemplify it well.
Do you understand what it means, yes or no?
I said yes.
Okay, so can you identify the element of dishonesty that you think that I was in any part of the conversation of yesterday, specifically?
Yes, when you were trying to deflect by saying Antonio accuses everybody of everything, so what difference does it make?
So that's not a deflection. That's applying an answer to a general
switch.
You were trying to deny the allegation by saying Antonio accuses everybody of everything.
Wait, let me deal with Curved. Like I just explained, I was dealing with the drama generally speaking, overall. If you're not happy with that and you want me to identify it specifically, whether it is or is not factually correct or not is none of your business. I disagree with you that you have any right to try and ask me questions about any part of my apparent or actual life. I'm not. Yeah, but the point is, I don't have to answer it. I won't be answering it. And
I don't want you to.
So don't.
So how is it dishonest?
Why keep on coming on here to talk about it, but you don't want to talk about it?
The first thing you said when you came on was that you don't want to talk about it. So don't.
So Lewis, shush. Curve.
So zip it.
What part of my answer is dishonest? You said it was deflection.
By trying
I understood
to get
his
out
part
of
of the
it
answer.
and
I
saying,
understood it, Sleeping.
Right, Grim?
Anthony.
Grim?
I understood what he meant by it. It's not about your particular personal endeavors. It's more like it's about what your objectives are in this movement. When you say
No,
you
Grim,
are,
I'm
excuse
talking
me,
with Curved.
you mind if
don't
I
even
just
care
you mind
about
if I
that.
give my
No, I do.
because
Because
this is a circle. It's a circle. You just want to go back around in the circle again over and over and over again, missing the entire point entirely.
Stop.
Over and over
Stop
again.
talking.
We're not going to let you do it today. You did it yesterday, over and over and
He
over.
can do it. He
Right,
can do it. Grim.
on that
It's okay.
basis. On that basis, because you won't speak and you are interrupting me, there's no point in me being here. I've tried to address it with Curved. I've asked him for the dishonesty. You guys are speaking for him, and I don't find that acceptable. I'm speaking to Curved. If
Well,
you guys can't be quiet, I'm out.
In fairness, in the same way that you don't
All
have to
join the
answer,
platform.
Curve
Yeah.
doesn't have to answer you. So, you know, the right to ask exists for everybody, and the right to not respond, it still exists for everybody.
Right.
And again, I'm not concerned with his situation, his escapade, or anything else. I'm strictly dealing with his tactical move there to try to say, well, Antonio accuses everybody of everything. So what difference does it make?
Blame and switch.
Completely ignoring the fact that, Karen herself has said these things to be true. This is about Anthony's lack of integrity. It's about his debate tactics. It's about him not caring about the truth. It's about what levels he will stoop to in a, so-called debate. That's what it's about with me. I've made my point. I don't need to talk to Anthony about it anymore.
It's true. That's what I was just trying to say. It's like you made your point. It's a matter of integrity about what your objectives are here, not, and if you're showing that your objectives are that you're preying on, all the, opposite sex or the same sex in Riley's case. I don't know.
Oh, that's fine. They're free.
Doesn't matter if you're just being an opportunist for sex out here. Then
that's fine. Who isn't?
Truth movement, right? Because truth overall, right? Not sex overall. I mean, come on. We're exposing all these sex magic groups and all this kind of stuff in our community, and he's part of it, right?
I find it to be boring, honestly, but
right.
How
so it's not a matter of what he's doing. It's a matter of.
I'm good. Thanks, Louis.
If you're doing it as a person, a regular person, an individual, that's fine, no problem. But if you're under the guise of a truth seeker and you're manipulating people through this platform to do that, then now you got a question of integrity. That's all we're trying to say.
We've been joined by PMARS and
why the reason why we're bringing
sorry
it up.
to interrupt,
Maybe
guys.
you're blind.
Just want to say
That's
something.
why.
Sorry to interrupt. We've been joined by PMARS and Lewis Hackett. So good to have you both here.
Hey, P-Mars, nice haircut.
Hey, P-Mars.
The moment I met him, he made me target.
What are we listening to?
Somebody's playing a audio, Karen.
Communicate.
Okay. I have a question for Sai. How do you pronounce your name? How is that to be spoken? So I know how to address you if we do speak.
Carv, you can say anything you want. Psychic, psi, physics. You're fine.
So okay,
I would have never thought physics.
No, me neither. But I thought maybe psi 19, but it is a lowercase I, so probably not.
Pounds per square yard.
Interesting.
So here we are. I don't know what day Pancho Pete has on his streams now, but we're still here, still debate the shape of the earth.
What is he going to do on day 666?
Oh man, maybe he'll do like hotels and skip the 13th floor.
Sorry, this just sometimes makes me giggle. How about yesterday where the shadow passes through the moon? I mean, through the sun. The shadow of the moon passes through the sun. I still can't get over. I giggle about that every time.
Well, sure. Of course.
I feel like, how are you not trolling when you're saying stuff like that?
Well, the sun is occulted by the translucency of the disk.
Yeah, it's assaulted too. What do you not get about the word transparency? Let me explain transparent or translucent. And so I read the definition. It says no detail, even though we're looking at the detail of the moon in the picture that I'm also showing. So, okay. I don't understand how it's simple physics. Oh yeah, demonstrate that happening anywhere else in the universe.
Right? Yeah. They all these, well, at least Anthony Riley and Validation Boy, anyway. At least those two tend to see all other objects, right? And if they're visible, you can reasonably assume that you can go out and touch them because invisible things do not reflect light. Only visible things reflect light, and visible things can be touched and felt. So, like, why wouldn't you be able to touch those visible things in the sky if you could get to them? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's not like you don't see mountains and craters and stuff on those visible things too.
Right. It's a much easier leap to assume that they are tangible than that they're not, just because you can't touch them, because there's nothing in our experience that is visible and not touchable because it's intangible.
That's right. So that's the faith that they call our faith right there that we rely on. That's the faith.
Well, our faith is that we can
do with anything made up or something that you can't bounce a nickel off of 1,000 times in a row.
Right.
You know?
It's our faith is that we can get there. Their faith is that you can't, and that you couldn't touch it if you could.
I don't know if that's correct. I mean, I wouldn't say that we're saying you can't. We're saying that you aren't specifically.
Okay.
No, he's saying that it's translucent, literally, and that a shadow of the moon is going to pass through the light source of the sun. Have you ever tried to cast a shadow onto, let's say, a light bulb? No, it doesn't work. Let's get it out. Let's get 2 light bulbs, right, in between each other, and let's put a pencil in between the 2 light bulbs and see where the shadow goes. Does it land on the other light bulb? Can you see the pencil through the other light bulb? No, you can't. You can try this at home, folks. It's funny.
I find it a little bit interesting that Anthony yesterday was using computer programs and taking them seriously, like, and they're CGI, and they're unlike actual computer generated images from space. They have, those computer games don't have original photos making the image, whereas photos from space do. They're still computer rendered and still technically computer generated, but there is a base image that the computers are going off of. So it's just the epitome of irony here.
Did you guys see the Paul on the Plane video where he went through the graphic maps for all of the planets? Did you see that?
Yes, they all have a similar warped look to them, because that's what happens when you stretch a 3-dimensional object onto a 2-dimensional surface.
Sure, they're starting with like a flat graphic, and then they wrap that in CGI around
That's
the
the
ball.
other one. Sorry, I should have not interrupted you. It's a terrible habit. They do it the other way around. They get the round image and then they flatten it onto a map.
So you're saying they start with a round image to create a flat one so that they can recreate a ball?
No, they put the satellite around it. They get an image, or if they can't get a satellite around it, they get an image of the entire surface over a period of time, and they take those composite images, and that is a ball. And they use that to make a flat map.
Like you said, Anthony, it's the other way around. They take pictures of what it looks like, a flat surface, because they're closer, and then they make a ball out of it.
No, they don't, Grim. They
when
have
they're
the
taking up
round.
close pictures sometimes they do actually when they're taking the up close pictures. I've read a big old thing about that. They don't just take the picture of the sphere all at once because then they can't focus on all the imagery. They
Right,
take,
yeah,
they
most
take
of
up
the
close
time.
pictures, right? And then
Yeah. If they have a satellite around the
that's what
thing
they
they're
use
trying
for
to image,
space.
then they can do that. But if they don't have a satellite there, they have to wait for the planet to turn all of its surfaces towards them.
Yeah.
But yeah, in either case, it's a series of composite images that are from a ball.
composite is a picture, guys. It's a picture. People think a composite is not a picture for some reason.
So, but what, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. So you're saying they go out and they film the whole spherical surface, which would mean you had a video of a sphere. Why would you then need to put it onto a flat surface to then render it as a sphere if you've got literal footage of it being spherical? Why would you need to do that? I don't understand.
Oh, so that you can just so that you can see the whole surface at one time.
But you can't see a whole surface of a sphere at one time. What I'm saying is they animate it as a sphere.
Well,
if they've gone out... Oh, hold on, I'm just trying to get clarity. If you've gone out and you filmed something that's spherical, you then no longer have any need to render anything. You've already got it as a sphere and you can just see it spinning with the photographs you've already taken. There's no necessity to do that if you already have that.
But you can't focus in on anything. That's what the problem is, Nathan.
Sure,
you can't focus in on it.
There's no necessity to, but it's
objects in the front are closer, objects off to the side are farther away, so they're not all going to be in focus, right? So they have to take closer pictures and then meld them into the sphere. Even though they could take a picture of the entire sphere, it's just not a clear photo of all the areas, clearly.
Why not just show us that, though?
Because it's nice to be able to see the entire surface at one time.
Yeah,
we've just had this conversation. You can't see an entire surface of a sphere at one time. That's impossible. You know,
well,
if
that's
you're
why
looking
they
at a 2D
chunks as you
representation
can
on a
is the point,
screen,
though.
you can't see all of it at once, so they just have it spinning. But what I'm saying is, if you've gone out and filmed it spinning, that negates any necessity whatsoever to recreate that spinning in CGI. You've got all bases covered already with your photos.
It's just standard practice to make a flat map of everything because we experience it as flat. So if we were on it, we would want the most accurate map possible.
But this isn't for a map. This isn't for a map. This is for a rendering of a sphere. This isn't for a map. We're not talking about maps. We're talking about the end result being a spherical depiction of Mars or of Venus on a screen, which we can see. But you're saying in order to get that, they go out and they take photos of every angle of it. Well, then you've already got that. You don't need to reproduce anything in CGI.
Yeah,
if
they
you've
do
already
have
gone
it,
out and
right. And then they
photographed
put that. Sorry, but then they make that spherical. They don't need to make it square, but it's often common practice to do that.
Right, but they're not making it square for our consumption. That's part of something that Paul on the Plane has showed that they do to recreate it as a sphere.
You're putting the cart before the horse.
I'm just telling you what they do. That's just facts.
They do not get a square map and then wrap it around a ball. They get the ball.
I'll go and prove you wrong. Give me 2 minutes. I'll go and find that exact video.
All right,
Lewis. They actually do.
I think I've seen the
let's
video.
just see if Grim corrects you. Save me the need. Do you want to correct him, Grim, or shall I go and look this video up and show him?
I tried to. I'm not trying to argue today.
I think you should get the video.
Well, I'll definitely like to chime in. I mean, basically, what I'm hearing in the super chat is that you guys are putting two conversations into one and molding the actual model, what everybody sees as a model, into a map. A map is a whole different perspective. Lewis, you're correct as far as a square being the map and circles being round. But for everyone, it's easy eye to look, to get everything to look as all the contents, the top, to see everything completely, is actually would have to be a square and flat. Vice versa. That's what I thought I'd put myself into.
That's very true. That's all I'm trying to say, basically. The more you can see it, otherwise you can't, because it's a sphere and you can't see the focus. It's not all in focus, you know, right? Because and on a sphere, the parts in the middle of the sphere are closer to you than the edges of the sphere, right?
Correct. So if we're going to talk about a map, let's just talk about a map easier perspective for everybody to communicate. But if we're going to talk about spheres and circles and round, it's going to
How do you create the best product for your
through a loop.
True. In the map, the square map, it just puts everything right up in 2 dimensions to your face in view. So, you know, you can see it. Like you're saying. But originally, when they take pictures, smaller pictures, excuse me, up close.
Needless
composites to create that.
Needless to say, for most of these pictures, they weren't physically able to put something in orbit around these planets to get the images. So these images come from long-distance telescopes. So we're looking at just taking pictures of them over time at a distance as they rotate. So they're going to be less detailed maps than they might otherwise be, which is kind of unuseful point, really. But there's nothing in this video that goes against what I was saying. It's just his assertion, his unfounded assertion that they make the square map first.
Well, nobody's got proof. Either it's round or square, whichever came first. But
well, we could take NASA at their word. We could start by doing that, and then trying to poke holes in it.
Louis, you know me. I can't take NASA at their word.
Why not? Why do you make that exception?
Okay. How about if I just say I know I don't believe in NASA?
Well, I know that you don't believe NASA either. I'm asking why.
Oh, a good question, Louis, because a lot of things proves perfection that NASA's not really 100% out there. I feel strongly that NASA is really your Hollywood. They have great CGIs. They have great people working there. They're smart, but technically, we all know how this matrix works. It's not the science fiction. People are just not really looking. They just believe in a lot of things, and it shows. It shows it.
So you think we're living in a matrix?
Oh yeah.
I can see how it's reasonable not to take the appeal to authority and just believe everything that they say. But we're trying to figure out why do you go the other route and say that they're lying? I mean, that's where we're trying to. That's what I'm trying to.
I never said anybody lying.
Get the proof that NASA.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, I understand the fact that we shouldn't trust blindly anything, but when we say someone's lying, it's one thing to not trust the person, but then to actually call them something, a liar out of there, that's when it's like, now you have to, you need you have the burden of proof upon you.
True. Yeah. Well, history shows perfection. Who actually created NASA?
Relate to you. You know, what are you saying? We figure out where you're coming from. So.
Well,
if you don't believe it, why? I mean,
well, no, it's a good question, Grim, because I mean, like anybody else would do is actually do their due diligence and do the research. And I've done my research and when it was created, and the things that happened when NASA came out.
Right, I have
to
two.
Me, go ahead.
Okay. What's wrong with this map?
Just and where in there? I have two, and I agree that there are some things there that don't seem entirely honest. But my things are different than your things, so I'm trying to figure out why are your things the way they are. I have my reasons, but I just don't want to bore everybody again with them. But it's about the plasma cosmology.
Well, for me, it's because
theories being false.
Is that NASA's? I'm so sorry, Grim. If you, I thought you were finished, and I do have that habit.
I mean, you're allowed to. We go back.
Who has a Tesla coil for a microphone? My God, that's annoying. No, I mean, seriously, this is like a tribute to Rice Krispies here. All the snap, crackle, pop going on.
Sorry, guys, I've got this video playing. If you want to watch on the watch page, it's actually playing now.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah. I've seen the video before. I've clicked on this file before. I've gone through the files in the file.
The condemning evidence here is the fact that the TRAPPIST system source file maps are in this folder, which are identical to the maps of the planets and moons from our solar system.
No, they're not.
Even though the TRAPPIST system is known to be 100% created by artists. That's right. In each folder for Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune,
Can you just pop yourself
Pluto
on mute, Lewis? Just comment afterwards.
Files with a naming convention for the square flat maps, the circle rendition, which is the flat map wrapped around a ball to make it a sphere, and the same animation. Jet Propulsion Lab does not even hide some of these maps, as you can download them from the JPL website. It's extremely simple to take these circle renditions from these square maps wrapped around a ball and add a Terminator line or shadow to make it, give it some depth and make it look like it's floating in outer space. Check out this video I made of the 8 planets of our solar system. These are all NASA images.
It's pretty.
He does a little roundup after his little graphics that he's made from the NASA maps, and then I'll stop it, and then obviously we can all respond, but this will only take another 2 minutes tops, I think.
Pluto.
So you can make Sims too. Does that mean that we're all Sims?
Well, it's not over yet, but I don't. I'll wait.
I'm really struggling with the point here. Could at least put on some AC/DC.
Oh yeah.
So in conclusion, the Trappist artists' conceptions were made with the same software that created the maps of the quote-unquote actual planets and moons of our solar system. This is why you get images of Jupiter years apart with the same weather. They are the same source file. the same 3D modeling software, and the same animation. This has been Paul on the Plane. Keep it flat.
All right. Are we okay?
Flatline.
The first and most important thing I would say is that all of the flat maps look warped. And the reason for that is because they are spherical objects that have been flattened out, and that's what you would get if you had a three-dimensional object flattened out into a two-dimensional surface. You get warped images.
So you just said that the TRAPPIST system, which is completely CGI, there's no way we're getting out that far to take photographs of that, let's face it. That's completely mapped in CGI, and the planets use the same software and the same technique. But you're saying the planets have come from photographs, is that what you're saying, even though they're the same exact technique?
Yeah, they're coming from photographs, and those photographs are being rendered through a program.
Can you show me those source files? Can you show me those photographs, please?
You know how
Can you show me those?
You know how we're sure, Nathan?
Yeah.
Because you can take your own telescope and you can look at Jupiter and see the
I've done
same
that.
patterns on it.
It's all right, Grim. It's all right, Grim. I've done that. I've looked at stars through my telescope. I just want to know if Lewis has got the original source photographs that I can study, like I've just looked at and showed people. Have you got those?
Yes.
Can you show them?
Yeah, you were just looking at them in his video there. Those were them.
No, those were CGI maps, as was explained, using the TRAPPIST system as an example. So he explained that the TRAPPIST system, I've just gone through this, I'm just repeating myself, Lewis. Do you have the original source photographs, as you claim that they are from photographs? Do you have those or not?
No, why would I?
Because you just claimed you had them, you idiot.
They're available for people.
Right
there.
Can you get them then? Can you show me them
nice
then, Lewis? Can you get them? Like I've just gone and got them. I just completely proved you wrong. Now you're saying they're photographs again. So can you get them?
Those, what we just looked at, were photographs.
No, they were not.
Okay.
Yes, okay, they were not photographs. So can you get the originals? Shall I repeat? I won't be verbatim. You made it quite clear, and I clarified with you. They go out, they take pictures of all angles, they then map it in CGI. Let's have those source photographs then, Louis.
What's the problem with that?
Well, because you haven't proved it with evidence, i.e. the photographs you claim exist.
Photos of a sphere.
Right, okay, I think I'll leave it at this point, Louis.
Okay.
Is Juno taking the pictures of the TRAPPIST system? I'm trying to figure out what's being discussed here. So I'm definitely lost as to what all is being claimed by everybody.
And well, in the video, Paul is claiming that those pictures are flat by default and then wrapped around a ball. I am just trying to counter that claim. Nathan's trying to undermine my credibility by saying that I can't do that without having access to original images, and I don't think that that's a fair claim.
How far away is this TRAPPIST?
Absolutely
anyway?
Crucial if you claim they came from photographs that you provide them. You can't just state that nonsense without backing it up with proof. So if you want to prove that they came from photographs, that's fine.
How can he state that he knows that they're flat without having the same thing?
Well, he's just shown it. He doesn't have to prove it. He's proved it by depicting it with the file sources and showing where they've come from. He doesn't need to prove it further than what he's shown. If you're saying they've come from photographs, then show them.
There's nothing wrong with the photos that he showed.
They're not photos. We've just had this conversation.
Okay.
They're not photographs.
You don't think they're photographs?
No. They aren't. I'm sorry. Is anybody else on this panel going to just accept this shite? Because it's shite. They're not photographs.
I'm trying to ask questions, but I'm not getting very many answers.
Well, okay. I mean,
well, Nathan. For what actually is showing as a glitch on the maps, on the land masses. Either way, you're gonna either put it from a sphere or to an actual flat. Land masses are actually going to get glitched. But Nathan, your question is that really you're not narrowing it down as far as proof of claim that this is the landmass, and we have to accept that this was taken. So until we are up there and see exactly what really the land masses are You know, I think it's like we're chasing a dog's tail on this one.
Yeah, because we don't agree on the legitimacy of the people providing the, as you call it, CGI. I don't see an issue with it being CGI because they come from original images, which is apparent when you look at them.
No, it's not apparent. It's clearly... Why? Okay, you explain to me how it's apparent from what we've just watched that they're photographs. Do you just explain that to me?
Good point.
Well,
right.
If you've looked at other...
the actual program itself being all CGI, but like Lewis is saying, I understand what he's saying. It's CGI that they have already taken pictures of this to incorporate to the program, so that you could use the program as a program, right? I mean, there's
the only
really no
thing
other way to do that.
computer generated about them is how they are being rendered together.
Load the photos in to the program to be able to use the...
Okay, let's see them.
I just gave you some Juno images. There's a few thousand of them here or so. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking that they could derive a lot of what's going on you know, Jupiter from these images from Juno. I'm not sure what we're actually, you know, how we've divulged into this part of the conversation, but
well, it's simple.
It's all good.
Well, it's fairly straightforward. In order for you to prove your assertion that they are derived from photographs, we need to see the photographs and then some sort of proof that those photographs were used in that program. You have shown none of that. You've not shown a single image.
Actually, you can see that when we're talking about Jupiter and the storms and the activity, the different rotating concentric cylinders of the storms, the electric signatures, all the things that are going on atmospherically, you know, and whatnot. Those are all visually, you know, there in the originals, but not so much in the program because it's, you know, it's not there in the program.
Right, so, can you show me that? Can you show me that in an original photo? Can you show me that, please?
You can see more depth. I'm looking at them now. I can see more depth and clarity, more atmosphere, more, you know.
Can I see them, please?
In the program. The program is not as fine a detail.
Can I see them?
You can tell that the rendering has been done.
Yeah. You just said you can tell. All right. I'd like to see some evidence, Grim. What you're doing is just words. So let's see these images, and then let's see your proof that they have been used in that program. Do you want to present that to me? Can you present that to me?
No, that's not my argument. I mean, I don't even care.
Well, why are you involved then? Why are you getting involved then? I was talking to Lewis. You've interjected with this gish gallop,
you know,
with this ad hoc, with this nonsense, with no proof and evidence to back it up.
Nonsense, Nathan. Don't talk to me like that. You know better than that, dude. I don't talk nonsense.
Well, let's see your proof.
That way. I don't try to ad hoc or I don't try to
talking about images. Show them.
I actually just said you had a valid point. You're actually being just, you know.
Right.
I don't want to go despondent, but I'm just saying you don't need to be like that with me.
Well, I was asking Lewis. You interrupted. What can I say? Well, no, we're vastly outnumbered. There's very few flat earthers, and without me doing this would be a very boring show.
No, I understand. That's why I actually was like, you know, you have a valid point, except for you can't say that they don't come from photos.
Yeah,
just because you want.
Look, when is it my turn to interrupt?
There's the photos. You could use these photos. I'm saying, why couldn't you use these photos?
What photos?
Oh, I didn't give you the link twice?
Well, feel free to present whatever you like.
Sorry, I thought I already gave it to you twice.
Okay, I'm not your secretary, Grim. If you want to present something, feel free.
Maybe it's over there too. Oh, look.
Are we discussing the legitimacy of photographs in our solar system? Or in the TRAPPIST?
That's exactly what we're discussing, Curved. We've just seen photographs of our solar system.
I haven't shown you any photographs.
Hold on, Nathan was answering my question.
Showing you them, and I don't know.
Nathan was answering my question.
Yeah. Yes, Curved.
What? Yes, what?
You said,
I asked an either or, and I heard yes, so I'm still confused.
Are we discussing photographs of our solar system? Yes.
And what about TRAPPIST-1?
Yes, that was the example he gave to show how they recreated a system we couldn't possibly photograph in CGI. Then he demonstrated how our solar system uses the exact same technique. Lewis has claimed they come from photographs. I've asked for proof.
Hold on. Now, did they use the same way that they make the images of our solar system in order to reproduce some kind of a visual conception of TRAPPIST?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not claiming we have photographs of planets in the TRAPPIST system and that is used to model the TRAPPIST-1 system. Is anybody else claiming that we have actual photographs of the planets in the TRAPPIST-1 system 40 light years away in Aquarius, and that is being used to make a visual representation of what that thing looks like?
No. The way they have found the TRAPPIST system is by stars dimming, not by taking photographs.
All right, so you're challenging the legitimacy of the photographs in our own solar system.
No, Paul on the plane presented evidence that showed that the TRAPPIST system used the exact same methodology as is used to produce our solar system in CGI.
Well, you're not going to take a photograph of the entirety of a planet. Now, I understand a little bit more about what Lewis is saying in our solar system.
That's exactly what Lewis said, Curved. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That is, now you're doing what Grimm's done. So that is precisely what Lewis claimed happens. I have challenged him on that. So far, not so good. 3 people have all tried to come back. Lewis is very quiet. So far, no proof that they are from photographs. No proof that those photographs have been used in that CGI program. Nothing so far.
Just my claim.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Does NASA claim that they are photographs in our solar system? Or that they did use CGI using whatever other information they have?
No problem. I'll repeat specifically what Lewis claimed. Lewis specifically claimed that they went out, took photographs of those planets, brought those photographs back, put them into the system to generate a flat map so we could generate a sphere. I asked him to clarify it twice. So this is Lewis's claim, totally unfounded.
Okay, I understand that's what I'm asking is that the actual case, and do we want to dig in and find out, or do we want to move on to something else?
As a flat earther, I like to dig in and find out. Some people, mostly globeheads, they like to move on, look at other things. Not saying you guys, just saying that's generally what happens.
You guys got to remember, Nathan's being accused of not being a real flat earther, so he's kind of trying to give us the screws today.
Well, I'll go ahead and redact my statement to just the solar system.
So you're redacting the statement that we go out and take photographs to produce the images that we see?
That we have actual photos of the other planets.
Here.
Right. Nice concession.
In the TRAPPIST system.
Nice concession.
All right.
But not our solar system.
Want to be a trapezist, huh?
But would it be safe to say that we send out our own balloons up there and actually get our own system, our own locality, just for our peace of mind?
They're closer. It's possible to do.
I believe, as far as the social consensus would appreciate that.
It's not a social consensus, but all right.
The public.
And also, they're not generating a square map first.
Just out of interest, when they released that picture of Jupiter with the blue stuff on top of it, did you guys think that was real?
They can use different colors to show the disparity in the weather system.
All I can say is I don't really concern myself with too much of this because I don't use NASA for the shape of the Earth. So it's kind of, that's on the periphery for me.
So
I don't really care too much one way or the other. If NASA's lying, sure, that should be exposed. I still don't see proof that they're lying. But it doesn't matter to me one way or another in the context of the flat Earth debate.
Well, that's our system that we live in, though. That's what they say we live in. Issue. Well, it is about the shape of the Earth.
Okay,
the argument yesterday.
I don't care if it's a geocentric globe. Sure. As far as the flat Earth debate is concerned, all of space can be spinning around us. I don't care. I don't care if there's a bubble dome, a spherical bubble dome around us, however far away. It doesn't make any difference to me when discussing or debating the shape of the Earth itself. The Earth that we live on is a sphere. That is known. And that's that. So I don't care about all this other stuff. That's why I tend to stay out of NASA type discussions. But I wanted to get some clarification on what was actually being claimed there. And did NASA even claim that they were real photographs? I don't know.
Yes, NASA claimed that that's where we live. That's what they claim what our solar system looks like. Yes, absolutely, okay. That's what they claim.
Okay. Well, I mean,
that's why I asked if you thought it was real. That's specifically why I asked that question.
Right, and I specifically kind of said I don't care because it doesn't matter to me concerning the shape of the Earth. I'm not saying it's a non-issue. I'm saying it's not an issue for the shape of the Earth, and people need to understand what I'm saying there. I don't like going off into the weeds to debate. I like to stick to the topic. And when you're talking about shape of the Earth, I don't care about NASA.
Yeah, I understand that. It's a revelation to me, actually, Curved. I did not know that about you. But for me, NASA provide Earthlings with the benchmark evidence that we are on a globe. So to me, it's critical what NASA say. And their credibility is paramount to me.
Well, it can be, but since I have so many other ways to know, they're not a primary source of information for me.
That's a cop-out, Nathan. You can't say just because this one appealed to authority you don't trust them, that no matter what else you discover from any other source, it can't be true. That's invalid. It doesn't even make sense.
That's not what I said, though.
We don't need NASA.
That's
NASA
not what I said. Well, that's not what I said.
Earth was round.
That's not what I said.
And you can't really prove NASA's lying anyway, so you can't just say we're not allowed to use NASA.
I didn't say that either.
I know, but I'm saying you try to say, oh, NASA, you can't produce NASA as evidence. We don't believe in NASA, but you can't produce a reason why we can't use NASA as evidence.
Well, I did. According to, sorry, my kid's screaming right off. Sorry, chicken.
Oh,
see, in Lewis's, I'll come back to you.
She can probably feel that you're kind of getting aggravated, and it rubs off on her.
True. It's probably enough. Wake up my granddaughter.
I'm just saying. But then that's just like one invalid argument for another.
All right, Side. Not trying to put all the pressure on you, but you're the man here at the moment. What do you got? What do you got?
Well, I mean, all right. So what you guys are just talking about Jupiter and everything. And I'm also within the periphery too, Curve. And what's in front of me, and what I'm seeing also on a P900 is actually Venus. Why isn't anybody looking at Venus? And also, what I'm hearing from the book is that Venus is supposed to be Lucifer. It's a myth, and it fell from the stars. And he was the light bearer. But for right now, with the P900, you could see him closely at about, I believe, 35,000 square feet off miles.
What?
And it's very close.
What do you see when you see Jupiter? What's your point?
Right,
I mean, Venus.
Well, I see light. I don't see rock. I don't see solid mass. I see light.
So
But
you can't focus and
Well,
resolve
well,
the planet.
but for Jupiter,
no, Venus. You can see Venus go through moon phases, man. Just like all the other planets, when you look at them properly and see them up close, you can see them in their phases. So you know they're just reflecting light that's being shone on them, and the dark side is the side that is not getting the light, and the reflection of the light actually coincides with the exact location and direction in which the sun lies. So you can't really say that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, not passing, Grim. I'm just saying, seeing Venus.
False representation of the planets, right there, guys. Telling you that.
Sure. From my perspective, of course. Now, what I'm trying to say, if you want to actually go see Venus and get a P900, just put it on the link. From what I'm seeing.
Why do you need a
P900? I have a link too, where you can actually see it properly because they know how to focus and use the exposure properly on their camera.
A P900 link or actual what kind of link are we looking? Okay, I mean, just put it up and I'll look at it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of people with telescopes and decent equipment that know how to use it. They resolve the like the crescent of Venus and everything like that. It's not some blurry blob of light. They resolve the crescent.
But again, as far as to be specific, you did say Jupiter too, Curve.
And I corrected that multiple times. Venus.
No. The reason why I'm choosing for Jupiter is the reason why I'm choosing Jupiter. It pretty much just gives me just to let you know exactly how I'm seeing the stars.
Okay, you were talking about Venus.
Correct. But for Jupiter now, I'll tell you, just for my sake in the argument, I don't see Jupiter being also a solid mass.
Maybe you need better equipment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do other people with decent equipment contradict you? Flamingo Boot in the chat right now, outside in the chat. Talk to him about it. He has a telescope and a camera and everything. Take pictures of Jupiter and can see it.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to say the name of this video because it's kind of mean, but it's a demonstration of how to focus your Nikon correctly. I'm not going to play his volume because he's a little mean. I guess he's sick of it. But what's happening there, he's showing you that this is what you're looking at when you're saying that you're seeing Venus. Here's these different out of focus shots over here of different flat earthers not using the camera right.
Beautiful.
Showing you these aberration pictures of out of focus images.
Nice.
He says a few goofy things. He puts out a big long list of all the people that he found that were doing that. I'm sure it's not all the people, but blah, blah, blah. But then you can also see how to use your cameras correctly here like this, as Rhetoric will show you too. Okay, so if your Nikon P900 video of Venus looks like this, it's because the image hasn't been focused correctly. And then that's not exposed correctly. It should look like this. You see that? It looks like the moon, right? Waning.
I see spheres, I see squares, I see a mandala effect on it.
Right, and what he's fixing to do here is show you how to click it over to the manual. That's the M. And then go all the way up towards the infinity sign. And after you put it on manual focus, there's the infinity sign. So you just keep going up towards the infinity sign. And I'm going to speed it up because, well, no, I'll just let it play. And it will slowly come into view. And you have to remember it's still overexposure. So he has to set the exposure by flashing a bright light on it. Pardon me.
is that in each of these are a horizontal flat map.
I don't know. I hear something. Not me, is it? There you go. Getting better. Now you can see that it's overexposed still. So the trick to that is to force the camera to fix. You can still see it right there. He didn't change anything. You can still see it. Now it's just moving over here. Yeah. There you have it. And yeah, so people showing you this, that, those, them, and that. They're all liars. Either liars because they won't take their videos down after they've already been shown that they're misrepresenting reality to fit a narrative and push a theme and get a clickbait system going on your little YouTube channel, or they're liars because they originally did it intentionally knowing that they're doing that same very thing, because we've already been around to tell them all that they're mistaken about the camera and this is how you properly use it, so they know.
Graham, I really don't care about the liars. Really, what I care is what your perspective is, and what you, out of all this stuff, what is the one that you think? What is the one that you think that's official for you?
What are you talking about?
I mean, out of all this stuff that we just seen, there's nothing in there is real.
No, I just showed you this one.
Well, okay, which one? That one. Okay.
That's what it really looks like.
Okay, so let's just stop right there. Like, I mean, from my own perspective, I'm not still again convinced that it's a solid rock.
Well, it's going to be really hard for you to unravel reality, because look, solid images in the dark that don't have light on them do not show up. Well, we know we have a light source over here where the sun is.
So that looks like a moon to me.
No. But you have to use some logic here. So you know that a solid object is going to reflect light. A non-solid object will not reflect the light.
Oh, correct.
So this is light reflecting off of a solid object. And guess what? We can watch it go through all of its waning and waxing stages to see that it's actually a complete sphere. The light hits the entire solid object. That's the thing. You cannot refute that.
Did you not show us the one that's a complete object that you said it was? That was
a different
Venus.
stage. No.
Okay.
This is
the one with the sphere.
One day. We're looking at Venus from the perspective of one day. So in one day, you're not going to see the different stages of Venus.
But do we have anything of the full stage of Venus? The full stage of Venus.
I can show you that. Here you go.
From Earth, we can show you Venus in transit across the sun.
There you go. What do you reckon to that?
It's taken from space.
That's beautiful right there. That's what NASA shows us. They're supposed to be the best of the best, so I'd just trust those guys.
Well, we don't need the photo.
Well, I don't even trust those guys just blindly. You see, like that's an insulting comment that you're making. It's a slap. It's a cheap slap because you're assuming that I just blindly trust NASA. You do realize this is not NASA focusing in on Venus right now, don't you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. As I say, I've got a telescope. I've seen that with my own eyes. But what we're presented with by NASA, who, as I say, are supposed to be the authority in this, is a CGI image. That's what we get. That's what we're told is real.
I don't have the appeal to authority issue, though, so that you're assuming I do in that statement. That's what I'm trying to convey.
No, fair enough, Grim. I concede that.
Yeah.
And it seems curved water has the same attitude. I didn't know that until today.
Right, that's true.
You know
Curb
what?
and I don't share the same
you know what?
view about
With NASA.
Yeah.
What about NASA?
Yeah.
What did I not know before today? What did I not know before today?
I didn't know that you didn't necessarily take them as an authority in this subject.
Oh, you didn't know. I thought you
didn't
said
know that
I
that was
didn't
your position.
know
No,
until
correct.
today. Got my hair standing up. Okay. What I said is that I don't really care as far as the flat Earth argument is concerned. It's irrelevant to me whether NASA is lying or not. Now, obviously, I care whether NASA is lying or not, but not for the shape of the Earth. I don't know how else to explain that to you people.
No, I understand entirely. There's plenty of people. I
Okay.
had this conversation with Mark Sargent last
So
night.
it's
There's
not
plenty of
about
people we come
not
across
about an
that-
authority or not. It's about I don't care for this topic.
Okay. I see it as directly related. As I said earlier, I was told that this was erroneous or whatever the word was, but they have the benchmark proof of us living on a sphere. So to me, it's critical that we look at this. You know, it's extremely important.
I don't see it as benchmark.
Fair enough. No one's forcing you to,
Lewis?
debate this issue.
What is that benchmark that you see?
Sorry, say that again, Louis.
What is the benchmark?
The benchmark of proof of Earth being a sphere?
Yeah.
A photo of Earth being a sphere?
Oh.
That's not my primary evidence.
Okay, fair enough.
We have a difference, perspective there. I don't need it.
My benchmark is the sunrise and set.
Two celestial poles as we see them. Equinox is a stumper. No flat Earth model can be created without appealing to magic.
Just out of interest, does the globe Earth model match the NASA model by any chance?
What is the NASA model? What do you mean?
Well, this benchmark proof I was talking about, the pictures, do they match that model? Are they the same?
Yes.
I don't see where they don't. Are we going to get into the difference appearances of different blue marble pics? Is that what we're leading to?
I'm asking, is the model that you do support the same as NASA's model or not?
Well, NASA's model sounds like a loaded and vague. I'm not sure what you're getting at with NASA's model. What aspect of it?
I'm trying to establish if it's the same model or not. So NASA have a model of Earth. It's a sphere with the map wrapped around it. Is your model the same as that or different to that?
I'll just say as far as I know, yeah. Unless somebody can point out some kind of difference.
Right.
As far as I know, yeah.
So that would be why I see it as important. So as much as you don't take NASA's evidence, their evidence is the same as yours in terms of their model is the same as yours.
Oh, that's okay. I'm not diminishing the importance of the photographs to anybody. But my position is it doesn't matter to me. I don't need it. When I'm not putting down anybody else's desire to look at the photos and judge them or anything like that. I don't need them. I don't use them. I know it's a sphere without them. So it's a peripheral issue for me. The shape of the Earth does not hinge upon the credibility of NASA. So I don't debate it. Can't be clearer.
I find myself wading in the weeds all the time, but really I don't need to. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, but I don't like repeating things other people have already said. But for clarity, yeah, I don't need NASA either, and I never have. But when people bring NASA up, I feel compelled to flush out their perspective of NASA.
Sure,
Because
and I'm
I've
not
always
disagreeing
found
with that.
I've always found NASA to be extremely boring and useless. And that may be by design. The things I would suspect them of lying about are lies of omission rather than lies just blanketly about everything.
Right.
I think it's much
Interpretation
more,
of data rather than the actual data.
yeah, I think it's much more likely that NASA does things like try and build a moon base or something like that on the dark side of the moon. I think that's much more likely, and just never talk about it. I think that's a much more likely lie than all their pictures are fake. Why would it be a more likely lie? Because the far side of the moon is the only solid place that you could put somebody. It's the only place we can get to that you cannot see. And so the secrecy it would give you would be quite an advantage, I think. So you could do things on the dark side of the moon in the low gravity of the moon, in the no atmosphere of the moon, and you could build things and do engineering experiments and all sorts of wonderful things in the dark. In the dark in terms of secrecy, because the dark side of the moon isn't actually dark all the time. But that's kind of, so that gives you an idea of where I'm coming from, hopefully.
Oh, looks like there's a natural break. I'm going to do a little plug, why not? If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs along the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. There are only a couple of rules. Please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and you'll be asked or warmly welcome back on the next show. And oh, looks like we've got P. Mars. Good timing, P. Mars. Good to have you here.
Lewis, do you know why there's like shit like brass metals on the moon that need to be like what, refined and shit, right, on Earth?
Well, it's entirely possible that in the formation of the moon, alloys were created.
You don't think Anunnaki is a far more plausible?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure came from the Nibiru system.
There's probably a spaceship inside the moon because it's hollow and rang like a bell. So there's a spaceship there that guides the moon. It's not in orbit. It's being propelled from within by our creators.
I knew it.
Shout out to Inky and Enlil.
Whoop, whoop.
The moon doesn't really make any sense, man. It like sticks out like a sore thumb in our solar system. Like no.
Why doesn't it make sense?
No other planet has a moon like ours.
Well, do you understand how the formation of solar systems and galaxies tends to go?
I mean, not
terrible argument.
I've seen like a fucking
No
stupid
swearing,
documentary
please.
on it, but like
Yeah, galaxy formation, star formation, secretion model, all that debunked.
Yeah. No, not really. So
Entirely debunked.
Let me give a brief
Exoplanets entirely too close to their suns. Debunks all of that.
Let me give a brief rundown. So
the fact that the moon and the sun are the same angular size, like that's a coincidence that
They're close.
I don't think that's a coincidence. There's like something's fucking going on, and they also like mirror each other. Like where the sun will rise in the summer, the moon will rise in the same place in the winter. Shit like that.
Whoa. You know, you don't understand the cycles there. That's just a false statement. Look into it more.
Electric plane
Look into it
that
more.
rolls on.
I'd like to briefly discuss about how solar systems and groups of singularities tend to go in the context of momentum and gravity. So before you have a nice flat solar system or a nice flat galaxy, you have a lot of motion, a lot of chaotic motion, and a lot of gravity. And the tendency for gravity is for objects of mass to clump together. So if you have objects moving around in a different plane,
are you talking about the lumpy potatoes and depending on their size and shit like that?
Yeah, the bigger they are, the more perfectly round they become. And
Right.
eventually, if there's enough mass, the atoms at the center or somewhere, doesn't matter too much, probably close to the center because that's where it's most likely to happen, given the preponderance of atoms throughout the star or to-be star. Once one of the atoms starts to occupy, once there's no room left for an atom to bounce and vibrate around to other than into another atom, you get a star because it starts a chain reaction, and all the added energy from the initial collision ripples out to the other particles, the other atoms, and so you get the star going. And the tendency for everything circling the star is to fall towards it, and if they are close to other objects with different momentum from their own, they will be slowed down relative to the sun, and the sun's gravitational pull will be much more apparent on them, and their orbit will fall closer and closer to the sun. And the tendency is for things to eventually fall into the sun itself until the only things left are things orbiting in the same plane in the same direction, so that their gravitational influence on each other is virtually negligible. So if you have things orbiting in opposite directions, they'll be constantly slowing each other down relative to the sun. And that is why solar systems tend to be flat and the planets tend to orbit in one direction. That's also why galaxies tend to be flat and everything spirals around in one direction. It's because everything else has already been canceled out by everything else's different momentum. So we see up in the sky, some galaxies are not flat, and they will one day be flat. So hopefully that makes a little sense about why our
Everything in
solar system
nature
is...
That's totally disproven.
Everything in nature is flat.
Well, singularities are not flat. Singularities are spheres. So things like planets and stars, those individually are spheres. So are black holes. But groups of singularities acting on their shared properties, gravity, they are not flat, the groups. Or excuse me, they are flat, but the singularities themselves are spheres. That's the natural shape gravity makes.
So the moon is probably the best evidence that NASA's lying to us.
If NASA's lying to us, it's about various military endeavors.
And that's your opinion, obviously, because you're not
Right.
paying close attention to what's actually being seen.
If I was
you
in
just gotta
charge,
start talking now again. After I'm just coming in to talk. Luke, you gotta let other people. You gotta share the platform, man. You gotta share a little bit.
I think that's more
You're an
like
only child, aren't you, Lewis?
If I was in charge,
Guaranteed.
that's what I would do. If I was in charge, I would make various military pursuits in space and on the moon, and I would make them secret.
Okay, great. And that's not even the argument here, really. So
okay,
we're talking about star formation, galaxy formation, and how it's an electrical phenomenon and not a bunch of smashing, bashing rocks together. You can see the filamentary network of plasma that connects these so-called stars or whatever throughout. There's an entire what do you call it? Volumes of work done on on these ideas and theories. You can't just say, no, it's this exact one thing only just because it's an appeal to authority argument.
It's not.
No, it is, because it's broken. That's the old gravitational models are all broken.
Well, give me your explanation.
When data falsifies your model, right? Then your model's broken. That's by default. It's broken. You can't say.
I know we're not debating the shape of the Earth anymore, but let's see what your evidence has. If it's got more predictive capability than mine.
Oh, a lot more.
The greatest surprise was the ubiquity of filaments in these nearby clouds and their intimate connection with star formation.
Intimate connection. Oh man.
Enormous significance of this discovery for the electric universe theory.
In a few weeks, the Electric Universe Conference for 2015 will begin in Phoenix, Arizona. Supportive evidence for the Electric
Universe Conference.
Daily, and we find each new discovery is either predicted by the Electric Universe model or else provides more detail. This is the mark of a more correct theory than the present Big Bang model of the universe, where surprises are routine and great effort is concentrated on force-fitting the data sense of beliefs. In the last few days, 3 important discoveries have been made at 3 very different scales that show we live in an electric universe. First, it was reported that observations with ESA's Herschel Space Observatory have revealed that our galaxy is threaded with filamentary structures on every length scale, from nearby clouds hosting tangles of filaments a few light years long to gigantic structures stretching hundreds of light years across the Milky Way's spiral arms. They appear to be truly ubiquitous, so says the report. It goes on. The greatest surprise was the ubiquity of filaments in these nearby clouds and their intimate connection with star formation.
Intimate connection.
These observations.
Yeah, look who's saying it, though.
Revealed that filaments, which makes
who's saying it?
In length, appear to have a universal width of about
Philip Andre.
This suggests that something fundamental
Get familiar
is lurking underneath. And
now who's making an appeal to authority?
Fundamental lurking underneath. It's called electricity on Earth.
I'm playing on your appeal to authority.
No, I gave you an explanation.
It would show cognitive dissonance of you not to accept this if you accept the authority. And this is from authority, so it would show your cognitive dissonance to this information. That's why I used it.
Predictive capability from the EU model.
Right, and there's lots of that. Would you like me to? Would you like me to type in quickly?
Don't matter.
Would you like me to quickly type in the EU predictions made?
Yes.
Well, I'll do that after I prove this point. I'll do that for you too.
After you hit play.
The researchers have not.
Yeah, like every single anomalous phenomena that is a standard model called anomalous phenomena of the sun is actually a predictive outcome. It's an actual expected product of the electric environment too, by the way, like the speeding up of the ions as they move away from the sun, the rotation of the equator of the sun being faster than the poles, the sunspots themselves, the photosphere or the corona being hotter than the interior. All of those things comport to the electric, and none of those things are understood at all whatsoever.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, actually. They are. They absolutely are.
They absolutely are not. Magnetism does not move the ions. Okay,
that's right. You're right. It doesn't.
Field. That's right.
It's light.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's completely wrong. Light doesn't move ions either. Okay, light has no mass, right?
It does have mass.
Right, it does not.
Especially relative to ions.
Light is electricity anyway. It's a coaxial circuit.
Oh, that's awful convenient for you.
Right, so it's not light. It's the actual modality of electricity. Light, what is light? Light is something that lights up on the magnetic scale, the electromagnetic scale, right?
Okay. I said
Visible
okay.
Light, right. So we're talking about electromagnetism, not light. You're actually, you're saying it's like you're skipping the actual mechanism. You're calling the car the tire. You're going, that's what the car is right there, and you're pointing at the tire, and it's like, no, that thing has an engine in it.
I think
Look,
that's what you're
that's
doing.
what I'm saying. No, that's what you're doing. I'm pointing to the engine. You're pointing to the tire.
I think you're putting the cart before the horse.
No, whatever.
No idea what they're looking at is highlighted by the reference to dense interstellar fibers and the desperate attempt at a solution. Turbulent motions of the interstellar gas and dust create an intricate web of filamentary structures. This is a conspicuous example of force-fitting the observations to century-old, pre-space age beliefs about an electrically sterile universe. Notably, the most prominent filaments are seen drawing matter from their surroundings through a network of smaller filaments. Smaller coronal filaments are also characteristic of electric discharges in plasma. The dysfunctional nature of over-specialized science is highlighted by this report, since plasma cosmologists, including Nobel Prize winner Hans Alfvén, demonstrated empirically decades ago that spiral galaxies like the Milky Way are formed like glowing
Grim plays his video, which we can't hear very well. I'm going to do a quick plug and let the audience know that we have about 30 minutes left on this live stream. So if you would like to join and do any trolling or express your views on the shape of the Earth, now is your opportunity to do it for the next 30 minutes. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And as I say, if you would like to join the show, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click mute on your watch page before you join the live show. There are only a couple of rules. Number one, please do not swear. If you do swear, you'll be ejected and you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show.
The report ends with a claim that despite this surprise, everything is under control. And I quote, "An increasingly coherent picture is now emerging from combining the analysis of these data with predictions from theory and numerical simulations, as astronomers continue to study the physical processes underlying the fascinating origin of stars and planets." End of quote. But computer simulations are worthless when the theoretical concepts being modeled are incorrect. At incalculable cost, the Big Bang universe has become a computerized virtual reality game. Anything you can imagine can appear real. Such an infinitely adjustable cosmology is unfalsifiable and therefore unscientific.
Boom.
For continuous updates.
It's not unfalsifiable.
Stay tuned.
It completely is. Because every time you turn around and say, oh, well, look, another anomaly that doesn't comport to your theory. Look, a galaxy that's so far away from the origin, your called origin of your Big Bang, is so well formed, and it didn't have enough time in order to do that because it's so far out there. Plus, all of those interactions and whatnot, it shouldn't be that far away, right? It shouldn't be that well put together. Okay, that's the whole point of that, because your theory says it hasn't had enough time for it to be that huge, that far away through gravitational theories alone.
Why not?
Right? That falsifies your theory right there.
Why can't it be that far away?
Because gravity is too weak of a force to even admitted in even the standard model. That's why it's called an anomaly in the standard model. We didn't just in the electric universe call it an anomaly. You did in your model. The standard people, they called it an anomaly. Okay. So, I mean, I think your argument's vacuous. It's not, I'm not trying to prove that it's an anomaly here. All right. That's already established that it's an anomaly, dude.
That's fine. So what can we predict about the universe, knowing that there are electrical filaments connecting everything?
Well, since we know that electromagnetism is 1,000 billion times stronger than gravity, we would have to responsibly look at the very real possibility that electromagnetism is structuring and organizing matter in space. That now that we know that there's a medium for that to exist and a mechanism for it to be sustained.
So the largest electromagnetic field that we have in our immediate experience is the one on the Earth, and the next one is a Tesla coil. And neither of those are big enough to explain what we see in the observable universe.
You're just making stuff up. You don't know
No.
anything about Christian Birkeland's experiments, laboratory experiments, videos. You know, Hans Alfvén and his Nobel Prize winning
What did he win?
exploration into the magnetohydrodynamic wave. I mean, if
Which-
you're not familiar with that stuff, then I
Which
don't know why
Nobel?
you're trying to make those kinds of statements, because
Which Nobel
what
Prize?
what you just claimed was ridiculous. The plasma physics, excuse me, I'm going to finish for a second here. Plasma physics is a well-established classic physics.
Yeah. I know.
Okay, so that's the issue here. We in the laboratory, I've seen this myself. The spiraling galaxy formations and plasma simulations in the laboratory. You know, different plasmoids that represent the same behavior and observations that we see in space are being reproduced in the laboratory.
Yeah, a very small space.
And, yeah, and guess what? No standard model can do that about the solar system, just the solar system, much less the much grander situation that we're looking at with galaxy formation and star formation and things like that.
I would concede very readily that we maybe don't understand all of the forces that we talk about in physics and their causes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have, and they are separate forces because they don't interact with each other, which is the key. They're all invisible forces, and so to us, they are virtually indistinguishable apart from the size scales that they occur on. So it's no surprise that we're able to use magnetism and electromagnetism here in local environments to create very similar pictures to what we see out in the sky. It is a leap to assume that they are the same and that they are the same invisible forces being used, though. That's a
oh
leap.
yeah, we are sure. That's what you keep saying stuff, and like as if they're final and known or whatever the way you say them.
I only have one voice, Grim.
You're complete. No, I'm talking about you're overconfident in your assertion as to say that we don't know this force, which this force is, and blah blah, and there's, you know, we can't know, but we do know. That's the thing. We've actually measured the plasma. Lewis, can you stop? I'm talking about a claim you just made now. Okay, now you gotta let me say something about it before you try to defend it again. I haven't said what it is I wanted to say yet.
Go,
So you
keep
know
going,
how to
man.
defend it.
Get it out.
Thanks. Anyway, so we actually do know that we can measure the electromagnetic forces. We can measure the electric current, the voltage in these areas. That's the thing. The solar. That's this new data that we're talking about from different space missions and whatnot. That's how the Alfvén wave was discovered in our solar system, is because of the four close flying spacecraft that were able to, you know, detect the electron movement with more accuracy, so that they could actually finally admit to there being the kinetic wave in plasma, which means so many different things for us in the electric universe. Right?
Whose spacecraft was that? Whose spacecraft?
It goes to show. What now?
Whose spacecraft was it, just out of interest?
NASA.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, again, how's that interesting?
Well, you're using it as proof of your concept. But you just moments earlier said that NASA were irrelevant to you and you didn't use them, and you checked me on me saying,
no, I didn't,
you don't bundle me in with people who believe in NASA.
I said, I'll clarify what I said. I said the data can be misinterpreted. The data is real. Now, that's exactly what I said. I don't mistrust the raw data. I mistrust their interpretation of the raw data. Well, obviously,
Okay, fair enough, and I appreciate that. But that was the argument I was having with Lewis about the raw data, and you chimed in, and then when I checked you on it, you said, "Oh well, I don't take NASA as or whatever you've now qualified it with." But that was the very point of the argument I was having with Lewis when you chimed in. Was it was about raw data?
Right, I chimed in. Right, because you were talking about something that was rather invalid. I mean, you were trying to make a point about a computer program, and neither one of you know or can ever come up with the actual exact photos that they use to make the models for the data, for the graphics, for the computer program. I mean, it's so far removed from reality. I was almost just flustered with the conversation, being that it's not even going to get us to any real places of learning or understanding between each other on this situation.
How can you possibly say that? We're talking about the same thing,
raw data. Say that because raw data. Two things that you can't even. I mean, for one, we don't know one way or another if they want to give us all the data on the planets, right? I mean, we make so many different assertions as if they're not because of some other reason. But again, it's assertion after assertion after assertion. If I find myself into 3 assertions in a row, I probably want to find another avenue. That's the way I operate. So I'm finding and during that conversation, we're going into so many different assertions that neither side is actually being reasonable in that kind of a conversation. That's why I was like, it's not got anything to do with, what's going on. So my point about me telling you now that, all this stuff about plasma cosmology and arguing with Lewis about the standard model is refuting the interpretations from data of NASA at the same time as using NASA's raw data for evidence. So I'm trying to, at least be fair and reasonable. That's all.
Yep, the rest of us, we're trying to break the rules at every turn.
Well, I don't know about that. Just not trying to, I'm not trying to win just to win. I'm trying to get to an understanding. Winning with no understanding is no winning.
Yeah, it's about your predictive capability.
Right. And if you can, predict things like, when the Rosetta mission was going to land on Comet 67P, that there would be a bright discharge of electrical activity, being that they understand the inductive nature of the magnetic fields moving through plasma, which is literally what the magnetohydrodynamic wave was demonstrating. It shows. Then you know that you're going to have an electrical interaction with the two bodies as they come into close proximity, and that's exactly what happened. There was a bright discharge upon its landing there too. So there's another simple prediction.
What is that? What does that discharge demonstrate about?
Electric discharge. It demonstrates charge potential differences.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why is that unexpected from normal standard physics?
Well, because in normal standard physics, there was no medium for you to induce an electric current in the first place.
Is there a medium needed?
Yes.
Oh, so magnetic fields need a medium to travel through?
Yes.
Wow.
Magnetic fields need their causative electric currents in order to exist.
Hold on, that's not needing a medium problem.
Charges.
Magnetic fields need their causative electric currents to even exist.
That's not what he asked you.
No, I know, but do you understand now if you know that?
About the medium.
Yeah.
Ask you about the medium question.
Yeah, but you understand that's right. And electric currents need a medium.
No, they don't.
So now you understand. It's like,
they don't.
You can't have, right, exactly. You can't have one without the other. So
static electricity will still occur in a vacuum chamber. Lightning will still occur in a vacuum chamber.
Right, because there's still a medium.
Oh, really?
Really?
What's the medium in a vacuum chamber?
The ether.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, so there we go. I mean, you may as well say very done.
Otherwise, why would it? How could it?
Because you don't have any proof of an ether.
No. What you're trying to say?
You test it. You
don't realize what you're saying. You just
No,
said.
I realize exactly what I'm saying.
No, you don't actually. What you weren't talking, so I'm talking to Lewis, right? Right now,
he was listening.
It's a group discussion.
Lewis.
I've been
I have
very
a question
quiet.
for Lewis. If you're in a vacuum chamber and you have magnetism or electricity passing through the vacuum chamber and there's nothing inside of it, then how did it get there?
Because there's a disparity in the charges.
Right. What's the disparity in what?
In the charges.
Right, but in what? Disparity in two
objects.
separate things that aren't connected. How is
Right.
anything going to happen in between them if there's nothing for it to happen?
They have magnetic fields of potential that extend beyond their physical parameters.
Okay, and so how do they extend? What is a wave?
They're not waves.
A wave is a verb.
They're a field. They are a field.
Not a noun. I'm
They
asking
are
you,
a field.
a wave of what? A field of
They
what?
are a field.
A field of what? Define
of magnetic
a field, please.
potential.
Can you define a field?
Grim.
I rest my case.
No.
See what I'm saying? These guys don't know what they're dealing with here.
Know what you're talking about.
They think they understand a thing, but then when you break it down to them, they don't actually understand.
You don't. You didn't break anything down. You said
I did. A field. I asked you to define a field. You said it's a field, and now, as far as I'm concerned, a field is supposed to be something of matter, right? You're supposed to be able to a field of grass, right?
No.
A field of strawberries, a field of something.
It's no wonder you think the ether is real.
But you're using the word field as a solid thing with attributes. So I would like to know what is the field made of?
It does not have.
If you're going to use it to have attributes to pass current and electric charge,
it's an
matter is
invisible
electricity.
force.
Electricity is matter, and if nothing is passing through, if the vacuum is in the middle between the two things,
do you think that
then
there's just a bunch of plants inside of a motor? What do you think is on the inside of a motor?
Again, what is a field? We're still stuck on stupid. You're trying to evade the problem.
You're trying to
right
evade
there is at the field.
You're trying to evade that you brought up ether.
I would just love to know what the field is.
Fields are well understood.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're not defined in physics. Please be the first to define a field, son of a gun.
What is ether?
You think I'm not up on game here? A field is defined properly. Would you please define field for us? You'll get the Nobel Prize today. A field of what?
What's the proper definition then, Grim?
I just said it's not properly defined.
That's not the definition. That's not the proper definition.
I told you it's the ether. I told you it's the ether, man.
The ether is the field.
That's the ether exists. Yeah, the field is the ether. Depending on whichever mode that the ether may be in.
Who can have this conversation when we're dealing with mythical ether?
Michael Faraday, Steinmetz, me.
What ether did they think existed? Assume, because they assumed that light required a medium.
Lost Horizon 52.
No, come on, Grim. Don't gallop on this.
Well, why not? She has PhDs in mathematics and theoretical science. And she's also a colleague of mine. If you have an appeal to authority issue, I mean, we have, what is it?
I've got a definition.
Ken Wheeler has some good ideas about it in his books, uncovering.
Ken Wheeler has no good ideas.
I've got a field definition.
Yeah, you couldn't demonstrate that. Yeah, you couldn't demonstrate that he has no good ideas. All you could do is call him Magnetic Fester and make fun of him and stuff because he's fat and everything. But you guys can't.
He's a comic book crayon artist.
See, look at you guys have choreographed.
I've got a good field definition for you, Grim. You ready? Field in physics, a region in which each point is affected by a force.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Where's the force? How's the force mediated across the what?
It just is.
No, you're the one that you're in a vacuum.
You're assuming that that's a necessary question.
Particles. It's across particles. And your particle theory.
Assuming that is a necessary question.
That is not a definition. That was the. Does anybody actually realize that that's not a definition?
Yeah, it is.
That is not an explanation.
No, you're right. It's not. Definitions are not explanations. Very good.
It's not a definition, right? So explain what a field is then.
It's a region of space in which each point is affected by a force.
No, that's a definition.
No, that's what a field
No, you
is.
just finished telling me. No, that's a definition, not an explanation.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
a definition. Yeah, it's the definition of a field. Yeah.
Did anybody else catch that, or am I the only one?
You're
I
asking
catch you going
for
back
an
and forth
explanation.
between explanation and definition,
No,
Graham.
I've never gone back and forth. He keeps trying to go
You
to the
just did.
definition. I've always
You
asked for
just
the
did.
explanation.
You've been asking for definition.
I've been asking for the explanation. I asked him to define a field. Finally, he defined a field of what? Like I said,
potential.
We're still stuck of what? A field of what?
Potential.
No.
Given the
Potential- you
process
can't
of
have-
time.
yeah, potential
yes,
between
absolutely.
what? Right. How did the potential interact between each other? You're in a vacuum. Remember, this is your experiment. We're not talking about outside in the air, to where you could use the word field and then say it's because the particles in the
can
air
use
are
field in
interacting
a
with each
vacuum,
other.
too. You can
That's
use field in a
that,
vacuum too.
right. Now we're in a vacuum. See, I
Yeah,
don't think you
fine.
understand what you're saying.
There's no
A
problem there.
vacuum, vacuum of all particles, right?
There's no
All
problem
particles sucked
there.
out of there.
Virtually.
Magnets
You're not gonna
still work in space, Grim.
Yeah,
Magnets
I know.
work
You know
in
what?
vacuum.
You talking about
Magnets work in
ferromagnets?
vacuum.
Because
Like
you probably
ferromaterial
think that there's an
magnets?
ether there. You probably think there's an ether there, right?
No one's talking about magnets in space. We're talking about magnetics from
Yep.
electric charge. from
Are
current in space.
true or
We're not
false?
talking about-
Are
we're talking about
magnets
neodymium magnets in space, dude.
true or false? Are magnets part of electromagnetism?
Yeah, but we're not talking about ferromagnets.
So we should expect what?
No,
Putting
but I'm not
magnets
saying
in
that
a
a
vacuum.
ferromagnet is creating
So we should
electric charge
expect
across light years in
what?
space, dude.
What
Okay, get real.
difference in the fields
we're
of
talking about
magnets should we
current,
expect
plasma
from a
fields,
from a vacuum as next to atmosphere?
I am going to round out this show in about 4 or 5 minutes time, so if you did want to join to do any last minute trolling, now is your opportunity. Simply click on the link in the info box below this video. If you do want to support the channel, the super chat runs while the show is live. The only rules are please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. So this is your last opportunity to jump on this show. I will then thank the audience for joining us and round out properly, and as I say, in about 5 minutes time.
Explain what the ether is, Grim.
This is getting
Explain
ridiculous.
what the ether
No
is.
wonder flat
Grim.
earthers try to argue with you guys.
Graham, what is the ether? What is the ether? Explain. If you claim you fully understand this, then you can explain it. Did you not just say
he's
that?
trying to
Now
fully
do it.
understand a thing.
Do it.
I'm saying that there has to be a medium.
Explain the ether. You can't even define it. It's got a definition for field. You don't even have a definition for ether, much less an explanation. Now, come on, get real with this, Grim. Be honest about what you're doing here.
Oh, I'm totally
And
honest.
be
Don't try to
consistent.
infer that I'm not
Well,
being.
be consistent
that I'm
then.
not being honest about the.
Well,
elements.
dude, look at the way
It's
you're
pretty
looking at
simple.
the two different things, and
I'm actually taken
unequally.
aback by the stupidity of your question.
no, resorting to ad hom is not going to help you.
Right. How many different theories of the ether do you want to hear about today?
Oh,
I'd like to hear the correct one.
Right.
I'd like to hear
because
the
there's
correct
so many
one.
different theories of the ether.
I'd like to hear the correct one. Go.
Well, I don't know which one's the correct one. I'm just saying that.
Oh my God. Okay, then why are we discussing it?
Which one do you think
Because
is
I'm
correct?
making a point. You can't.
Okay.
You're acting as if there's activity between two things with no medium in between them.
Which
when
one do you
I'm
think is correct?
demonstrating that's not possible?
Which ether do you think is correct? And you didn't demonstrate that. We just have asserted opposite positions on whether it's possible.
There's several different theories to explain several.
We
natural
have the same
phenomena.
observations to look at, the same raw data. Grim, we have the same raw data to look at, and we're disagreeing about what it means. But I do want to know what you think the best ether theory is.
But again, we don't even need the ether to explain electrical activity in space because we see that the plasma exists. You're trying to Delphi the conversation away from, the actual
I don't
conversation.
have to try.
Right? Back into ether in a vacuum. You can't prove the ether doesn't exist.
Just so you
I
guys
don't
know, we're
think
going to
you
round
can.
out in a couple of
You
minutes.
can't
So if you
prove
have any last
interactions
points that you
happen
wanna get
without
in,
particles.
Depending on
any
the
last
definition
points,
of
we're going to round
ether,
out in
I
the next couple of
absolutely
minutes,
can.
guys.
And I'm sorry, Nathan.
That's all right. I'm just saying we're going to end in the next couple of minutes. So if there's anything really pressing, now's your opportunity.
All right. So
that's why the
depending
definition
on
matters.
Yeah, depending on the definition of ether, Aries' failure absolutely proved that there wasn't ether.
No, expecting to be able to use light to capture ether through nothing but an assertion. Because how do you know?
Do you know how Aries' failure works?
How do you know how to?
Do you know how Aries' failure worked?
Well, sort of.
Okay, basically, they had a series of mirrors and bounced light in opposite directions around a rotating
expecting
disc.
light to drag. Right, expecting the light to be dragged or bent because of the ether.
So you're talking about different experiments.
Light is
Lewis
going to
is
be
talking about
affected by
Sagnac,
ether
and
in the first place.
You're talking about different experiments.
Yeah. No, we're talking about the same experiment.
Sounds like you're talking about the Sagnac experiment, and Mr. Grimm is talking about Aries' failure.
All right. Better, I'll let Grimm explain it then.
Well, he's the one who asked about Aries' failure, and then he starts talking about this other experiment. So I don't really... How do I keep up with that, Nathan?
Well, you just correct me and move on.
Okay, Aries' failure is an ether drag test, and Sagnac
old,
isn't. Yeah, Mr. Grimm's trying to describe an ether drag test by I think he was the Astronomer Royal, wasn't he? Aries. No reply.
And Michael Morris.
We've only got about 60 seconds, so.
Well, it was a pretty productive debate.
Well, when flat earthers won't come on to debate it, what are we supposed to do? I can't pretend to be a flat earther. I don't know if anybody else can to make something happen, but
I could try.
How do you explain being able to see the sunlight from a particular latitude that is past 180 degrees from...
How far past?
Yeah, from the equator.
How far past?
From the equator doesn't matter.
3 to 5 degrees.
Oh, that's within a margin of error.
That sounds like a lot for refraction, but I'm not sure that 3 to 5 degrees is correct.
Well, like he said, I'd have to concede because 2 degrees would be a marginal and an error, and then 3 degrees would be for refraction, and that would be about right.
Well, are you referring to sunrise and sunset, the displacement of the sun due to refraction?
I'm referring to, like, if I'm on the okay, not the sun. That's a bad example. Let's say the Southern Cross. You know, if I can see the Southern Cross from 42 longitude,
latitude, and it's not that far north. You can't see Crux from 42 north.
Right. Well, somebody I think said that they could, right?
Well, I wouldn't pay attention to them.
They can see further than 180 degrees, but you shouldn't be able to. Like, but they're not thinking about the atmosphere, and
they're probably looking north and thought they were looking south.
And with that, I am going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the audience who have joined us for this live debate. If you would like to join future debates, there is a link in the info box below this video. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.